Hey, what's up guys? This is the Abactor back again, and I thought that I would try doing something new. This is a full game commentary that I'm making on Illaoi Mid, and I've been seeing a lot of different questions about it on the Illaoi subreddit, so I thought that I'd just kind of throw a game up there that I had that was really just interesting more than anything. I don't get super crazy fed, but I am really strong, and I think for the most part, I play well, and I have a lot of pressure. I do make a lot of mistakes this game. This is a normal, and my opponents, for the most part, play well and respect the Illaoi damage, so it's not as if people are just running into me and giving me free kills. So this game is coming with a full commentary attached, where I just kind of thought I'd talk through some of the stuff that's going on, and if that's not your deal, if you find my voice annoying or you don't give a shit and you just want to watch the game, I'll throw kind of a blank video with more balanced game sounds and stuff in the video description if you want to look down below. So anyway, now that we're getting back into the game, there's some basic things to go over. Is I'm running Grasp of the Undying in this game. I also took Ignite, and part of the reason for that is that's one of the things that I actually like about Illaoi Mid, is that you know, it's a shorter lane, and a lot of the time you can kind of get away with running some sort of offensive summoner. Exhaust is a really good choice too, but really the reason that I'm playing Illaoi in mid, and I took Grasp, and I'm running things like scaling HP seals and flat armor quints and stuff like that, is because well, one, it's kind of my standard Illaoi page, and two, I really like it as sort of a counter assassin pick. I played Illaoi into basically everything, and at some point or another, and I found that it's actually really strong into things like Talon and Echo and Diana, where they kind of can't really do any damage to you without being directly next to you. You know, a lot of people who play Illaoi mid like to take DFT. They like to build damage and carry the team. But for me, this is kind of whenever I pick Illaoi mid, it's more of a pressure pick than anything. Like, as you can see, this guy cannot farm. He can't get out of his turret. He's got 8 CS right now, and you know, that's why I like to play it, is because it essentially nullifies someone that could potentially be a damage threat. So I get a kill on him right there, and it's part of it was really just not respecting the echo damage that I have. When I landed that E, and I honestly don't think that he expected his health bar to go down that fast. And that's also kind of the beauty of bringing Ignite, is if you think about Illaoi E, you know, what it does is it does essentially a percentage of your opponent's max health if you kill the entire spirit, or rather their current health, depending on how much health they have when you hook them with the spirit. But so you do a percentage of their health pool, and the interesting thing about bringing Ignite is it kind of essentially tacks on to that kind of guaranteed damage. So if you do hook their spirit, there's a guarantee essentially that you can be really calculated in knowing how much damage you can do as long as that spirit doesn't go away. So this is one of the other reasons why I prefer tank Illaoi in mid, is, as you can see, I've got 3 tentacles here, and there's really nothing stopping me from relentlessly shoving this wave. Echo is a melee champion, and he has to really commit if he wants to clear tentacles, and as you can see, the wave's been in my lane for like 2 seconds, and it's already basically gone. So he has no potential, no timing window to actually walk up and clear tentacles. So I make a pretty big mistake here. The first one being that the tentacle, I really just kind of overestimate my damage. I kind of think that I can take the stun and a lot of the times it's good to buffer your E on Illaoi with crowd control. So kind of my muscle memory told me to land that E right when the stun landed, so that I could kind of be doing damage while stunned. But it was really dumb to take tower aggro, even though I was full HP. So yeah, that was a pretty serious misplay on my part. I would have a much bigger farm advantage if I just stayed in the lane and kind of kept shoving like I was before. But you know, this is my first game of the day, and I wasn't really super try-harding at this point in time. So I'm sure everyone here has noticed my unique build path so far, and it's something that I don't really feel like I have to sell you guys on a tier mid. I think that there are a lot of lanes where it's good, and there are a lot of games where it's not good, and I think that it takes a lot of practice with Illaoi to kind of understand when buying a tier is doable or even good. But the short answer for why I do it is because, again, it really supports this relentless shoving style. Having infinite mana is a really good way to get things like grass procs off on your spirit, and to just continue landing Qs and pushing the wave in. So usually if I go tier, I go for a hard defensive item afterwards. So we've got a little fight right here, and again, this is just Echo not respecting my ignite at all. So you know, he thinks that I'm on the back foot. You know, I've been taking a lot of damage up to this point, but I was really just kiting and waiting for my E to come up. So it's worth noting that currently I'm in Plat 5. I have really bad ping, which doesn't show up in this. So I probably I play as little ranked games as possible to avoid kind of going on tilt and kind of karate chopping my router or something. So I kind of just play till plat until play ranked until I reach plat, and then just mostly hang out in normals, because it's okay if I have to leave or if my ping is just basically unplayable. So I'm plat 5, and the Echo, I believe, is plat 2, which for my normal MMR is kind of low. I usually play a lot of my other videos on this channel. My opponents are usually roughly diamond, depending on what time I posted the video. So my normal MMR used to be really high, but I completely tanked it playing a bunch of weird stuff. I played a lot of Ivern on release recently, and I played a lot of Kled when I really did not understand how the champion works, and I think the consensus is out that Kled actually isn't super duper strong. So my MMR kind of sucks now, but I think the Jhin in this game is Diamond 5, and as of right now, he's got the highest CS in the game with 68 to my misfortunes 34. So he probably is representative of the Diamond 5 community, but I wasn't really paying that close attention anyway. I actually didn't even check till after the game what everyone's elo was. But anyway, so this is like the goal. At this point in the game, I've got my pink in a bush, and I'm never really going to stop pushing this whole game, just because the lane matchup is tilted so heavily in my favor that I never really have to leave. So the only times that you're gonna see me kind of leave to ward or something by that nature is when I'm basically going to die, or I'm within kill range. So at this time I had an idea that Graves was topside, and I still have my flash and an exit route bot, so I'm comfortable staying here. And there's kind of a weird situation where if I do go and face check him and he's not somewhere that I expect, I could potentially die. So now I'm kind of just contemplating whether or not I can stay. And honestly, I just decided that if I do die, it's worth it to deny Echo CS like I'm doing still, and luckily I get the kill again. So at this point in the game, I'm super massively fed, and Don't worry, I do a lot of things to make that not the case anymore. I fall off pretty hard in this game. Um, Part of it is the tier build. Um, when you build a tier, um, there's a really kind of strange ramp up. Interestingly, the tier itself in lane is a small kind of power spike. As weird as that sounds, people who still build Iceborne Gauntlet might experience the same thing, where you have so much mana in things like melee lanes that you just can never get pushed out, and especially coupled with Grasp, you can just get so much sustain off on people's spirits, and you know, if you take the Feast Mastery, whatever it is that you take, your kind of natural regen will just make it so that you can't really be pushed out of lane. So yeah, here I kind of do the same thing. I buffer his stun with my E while I'm not under tower, which is the correct way to do it. And so I'm just back in lane. But going back to the kind of Mira mana power spike, it's definitely strange. So like I said before, having that much mana early when you take defensive masteries specifically, Illaoi's kind of base stats are really good. Her base regen is pretty high, and depending on what runes you have a big pool of health to put that regen into. It's you kind of have to know how to play the lane. You can't exactly E, ult, and one-shot a lot of junglers like you usually could if you're doing something like longsword stacking or something similar. But you can really whittle your lane down so that you know that you can trade at least one kill when the jungler comes. So here I've got AD. I've got a full Mira mana, and the Echo almost actually didn't get his ult off there. He got down to like 10 HP. So I got one, and that's fine by me. Again, I just have so much pressure on the map by constantly being at Echo's tower. The Graves doesn't really know where he can be. He's constantly hovering around mid, debating whether or not he should gank. And the Echo can't leave to pressure other lanes. So in this game, my Lee Sin gets really, really big. He's not farming that hard right now, but he's basically had a free game to do whatever he wants. And for me, like, that's what the Illaoi mid pick is about. It's not necessarily about killing your lane. It's more just about being this immovable object that's just gonna hit tower no matter what. Like, I got first tower in this game as a mid laner, which is, in my experience, happens so rarely on other champions. And it's just something that's so underrated. Having this in like so much of the map completely open already is a really powerful tool. So again, there's a dragon fight going on right here, and the enemy team is thinking about contesting dragon. So they're all there and getting chunked, thinking about contesting dragon, and Echo dies in the fight. And all that means for me is that it's more time for me to push. I could go and kind of babysit my team, but I know that there's no amount of kills that they could get out of it, or even the drag itself. I'm pretty sure it's the first one. There's just nothing, no bad result that comes out of it is going to mean that Echo can come to lane and kill me. Well, I guess unless he like pentas or quadras or something. But it basically means that, like, there's an assumption that I can make that it's just going to be worth it for me to push. So I've already brought Braum mid to sweep my wards, and you know, all I'm gonna do is continue to push. And one of the real strengths of this build is that you know, you get to build full defense, like basically completely defensive. So if you see this Echo kind of phase dives and lands the first half of his Q onto me, and I've lost around 0 HP. I'm already back to full with one blast charge. So I'm just gonna keep pushing this lane, and that's what I mean by getting to build defensively, is that these assassins have mana pools that are essentially catered to how much damage they can be expected to be dealt. So their mana pools basically just aren't big enough to push you out of lane. So yeah, I misplay pretty badly there. I never got an E off anywhere. I knew the Echo had ult, so I probably feel like I would have died in any situation. So that was a misplay by me again, and as you can see, my my score is equalizing pretty quickly. I'm 4-3. I've got the most CS in the game though, and I've got my Mira mana already. So when that kind of when that item finishes, I'm going to be super strong, and that's basically what me like riding this really hard farm differential is gonna get me. It's gonna get me a super strong mid lane spike where basically all of the champions in this game just can't really get me out of any lane that I want to walk into. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for now. Is I still want that tier 2 mid tower, and then once I get it, all I'm gonna do is wait for other members of their team and my team to rotate around and look for other objectives, so that I can just go and be alone in a lane and get free farm and push like a monster. So Illaoi's W doesn't affect towers. It doesn't give you bonus tower damage, but it is an auto reset, and depending on how much mana you have, it can be really worth it to use that reset, and you'll see me doing that a lot. And so here my ult isn't up for like 5 seconds, and I basically just kind of misplay. I don't have vision of anyone, but I think that I'm just kind of playing too cocky to kind of justify going in from that deep. I know that there can be 3 people there, but I was hoping that there could be some kind of collapse until my ultimate came up. But what I really should have done is just hovered by their red buff for a little while. So yeah, so that was kind of a waste of time. But again, here I am back in mid lane against a full health Ezreal. Sorry, a full health Echo. And I just know that there's nothing that he can do against me. I'm sitting here with half of my HP gone, just pushing away as hard as I feel like. So this is all free gold for me. It's all contested farm for him. So yeah. So back to the tier build. An interesting thing about Illaoi is she does stack a tier really fast. Her Q, even with no CDR as I have here, is on a pretty low cooldown. I get a pretty cool kill here. It's off screen, but that Graves got too low from the from my initial combo, and I killed his spirit while my ult was up. So he got a fast tentacle slam to come down while he was walking away. So yeah, and there we go. We get the turret, and I'm just it's an Aatrox top, so all he's gonna really do is DPS me. So I'm just free to kind of do whatever I want. And now that we've got 2 mid towers gone, the game is basically over. It's so hard for even a coordinated team in a ranked game to be able to protect their jungle with that many tier 2 turrets down. It just basically means that all of their other turrets are just going to be free. You know, they can't really risk rotating for these outermost towers anymore. So I think to that effect, I also get this tower at the same time, and you know that's why I have the Balmy Cinder. That's why I'm going for a tanky build. Is you know, what I'm really doing primarily is I'm not letting people clear my tentacles. So I'm just sitting there and getting as many W's off as I can, and I need to have a really large health pool and be really tanky to be able to do that, because if they can chunk you and zone you off of an area, then that means that your tentacles are going to be gone. So going back to kind of the Mira mana thing again. I'm not sure how interested people are in this build, but it there are ways that you can accentuate the build. The item itself is a really high AD item. I think towards late game, the passive gives you around 60 to 80 AD, which is honestly just really strong. Illaoi benefits a lot from AD. I kind of get the sense that I'm on a ward. I see people rotating, so I just rotate out. I don't really want to fight. I think I have around 3k gold at this point, if I remember correctly. Yep. Around 3k. Mirror Mana gets you kind of a lot of things that you want, but the most important thing that you don't get from Mirror Mana is armor penetration, which is basically the core of every Illaoi build out there that's good. You know, Black Cleaver is probably undoubtedly the best item on Illaoi. It's definitely one of the most oftenly built ones, and it's a really good first item rush. For me, I don't really, and I will say that I build Cleaver probably, I would say probably 80% of my games. And it's a really great item, but it just does different things. If you go Cleaver, you kind of have to opt into a lane. You can't really just damage soak and push towers like basically an idiot, like you could in something like a gauntlet build that is kind of unpopular lately. The trade-off to that is, you know, Cleaver means that you kind of have to play the lane against your opponent, but it's a really strong item, and Illaoi is really good with Cleaver, so you should win lane on Illaoi a really high percentage of the time. So that's why Cleaver is such a strong item, but I don't build it in this particular game. I do build it in the mid lane, and it is good in the mid lane. I want to be clear on my opinion on that. But it just doesn't really get you the same pressure. You know, if you think about games that any of you have played on champions like LeBlanc or something, I land a pretty good instant kill on that Jhin over there. So you can see my damage is decent. He was just too low to be able to dodge any of the fast tentacle procs, since I immediately bursted his spirit. So as you can see, I have a decent amount of damage, and since I don't have a Cleaver, it really just means that I get kind of robbed here. I don't think that Graves dies, if I remember correctly. Yep, he lives just barely. So the thing is, I don't have any armor penetration, but I am super tanky, and I do a lot of damage to squishies. And I could get a Cleaver later in this game, but in my opinion, it just doesn't really feel as good with a completed Mirror Mana as something like other on-hit items, like Trinity Force. Maw Malmortius is actually good if you can get it in a game, because it does have some armor penetration, and it is kind of effectively an on-hit item in that it gives you AD, and AD makes your W hurt more. But Titanic Hydra, which people do not like on Illaoi, and I kind of have mixed feelings about. I think that it's strong in some games, weak in others. Is a pretty good and synergistic item with Mirror Mana. And for me, it just accentuates this really hard pushing play style. I now have a kit that lets me push a Tiamat and a Sunfire Cape. So I'm basically just, if I ever get left alone in a lane, it just means that creeps are gonna hit tower really fast. And I think that's a really big reason that we win this game, is just because our gold denial is so strong against the other members of their team. So yeah, so for that reason, I like Titanic, and it's really good as a standalone kind of secondary damage item. Mirror Mana is super slot efficient late game. You know, like you can essentially never sell your Mirror Mana late game because it's just so good, and the stats are so gold efficient that you know, has a really good place as a soul damage item in your final build. But so for that reason, I'm straying away from other damage items in lieu of tank items, just because I can see that the other damage-related members of my team start to get strong. The Lee Sin is going full damage, and if he wasn't going full damage, I probably would have gotten a cleaver here, because I think I start expecting Aatrox to get some armor, but he never really does. So for that reason, there just isn't really enough armor to validate me getting a cleaver, in my opinion. I would rather just get more on hit to just blow up squishies as fast as I can. So I kind of commit pretty hard there, but I knew that my team was on the way, so I kind of had an inkling that I might die. I kind of thought that I might quadra it too. I wasn't really sure. But in the end, we get a good trade just because I see people rotating on the mini map, and I'm kind of juicy to them right now. You know, I have a lot of farm. I've taken a lot of objectives, so I think that they were trying to rotate on me for a long time. So I was kind of okay with that trade, and I finally have my Mirror Mana now. So there will be some points in this game where you see me W onto these squishy targets, and it does way more damage than it should. You know, the max HP, in addition to the on hit from the Mirror Mana, in addition to you know, just the Tiamat active, the Titanic active that I'm gonna get, in addition to that, is just so much zoning potential. You know, late game Illaoi has a really big problem of basically killing people. You know, people talk about how Illaoi can't really be called a pick champion. So this is kind of a misplay here by me. I didn't really have vision of their team, and I honestly thought that I could kill the Aatrox without my ulti, but I couldn't because he's Aatrox, and he just kind of tanked me until I died. So that was definitely a misplay. And here I am, 6-6-2 with probably the most gold in game, and yeah, so I've got 11,800. So yeah, I do have the most gold in game, and my KDA is not pretty. And from my experience, the average Illaoi KDA isn't super insanely high. Mine in ranked, I'm plat 5, is around 2.4, which is on the higher side. I know that a lot of the kind of better known Illaoi players generally hover around 2.1 and 2.3. I think Mallface is probably a 2.15. He's a full AD Illaoi player. I think he may have dropped out of Masters recently, but he was the rank 1 Illaoi player for a really long time, and he plays her with DFT in the top lane, Deathfire Touch, and builds things like he really likes Cleaver, and he really likes stacking longswords. He wrote a guide that's pretty good on how to play full AD Illaoi, and I think AD Illaoi is really good. I play it a lot, and I think that part of kind of just the strengths of Illaoi for me is that you can play her so many different ways, and I do. I think that I probably take DFT maybe 30% of the time though, just because in the elo that I'm at, it can just be harder to snowball a game with the full AD pattern. A lot of these games do go late just because basically your team throws, or you throw, because, you know, I am at the end of the day a plat player with, you know, not really that fantastic win rate, so I kind of, you know, belong in my elo, and for me it just seems easier to be able to take grasp and these other tanky offensive masteries, tanky defensive masteries that give you a little bit more wiggle room. So here we are. The enemy team got a pick onto our top lane Talia, and and they kind of start thinking that they can push, but you know, we have decent wave clear and Lee is fed, so I feel pretty confident pushing this lane, and I use all the tools at my disposal to clean this up pretty easily. I push lane super fast with the Titanic and the Sunfire. So I basically know that even, you know, they could take 2 towers, and in the amount of time that I have, I wouldn't really have a problem. And bam, he's dead. I wouldn't really have a problem getting at least to the inhib if they were able to get 2 towers. Luckily, they do come and try to stop me, and the Graves, honestly, is very tilted. He has not been saying good things in chat. And didn't really play that well, so I kind of get a free kill there for no reason. But anyway, now we have exposed inhib, which is basically a pretty good ticket to victory, seeing as we have so many towers still standing. But you know, in the end of the day, this game is still 17-20, and part of the reason why our team gold advantage. Man, I wish I could see what the gold totals were. I don't really know how to do this at all. So by the way, if you guys have any comments or suggestions, as I'm sure you have a million, seeing as I'm not changing the camera view, which I'm sure is really annoying. If you guys have comments and suggestions, let me know. I have a really crappy computer, so this is kind of what I thought would be the easiest way to do this for the first time, and if it gains any traction, I might do some more. But anyway, like I said, I'm kind of going for a really tanky build this game. If you look at me, I've got 3,800 HP, and there's that kind of single hit right onto that Jhin with the W and the mirror mana, and I could have flashed and followed that up, but I just wasn't really sure what was going to happen. Here I get a pretty good combo off and chunk their team pretty hard. I try to be extra careful and tank some shots for people. But this is really just me overextending. I was not expecting the captive audience to come out. I was hoping to be able to kite a little bit more. So that's a misplay on my part. Just fast forward through my death, I guess. I'll at least try to make this more pleasurable for you guys. So yeah, so I'm, as you can see, I'm a pretty big tank. You know, they deliberately engaged on me there and didn't get really anything out of it at all. So so that's what I'm going for this game. At this point, MF is 2-3-4 with an IE and a rapid fire, which is pretty good damage, and Lee is still massively fed and hasn't really been dying at all. So I just decided that being a big wall is fine. And if you look, this is my full combo, and it there's absolutely no lack of damage there. You know, like if you ever get in that situation, you should be completely fine. Like you should consider your damage to be high enough. So here I basically kill myself because of Ivern Q. It hasn't been in the game that long, and I didn't really expect to fly at him that far with my active W, so so that was kind of just a weird death on my part. But I kill the Echo. I force the Graves flash by flashing, and in the end, it didn't really turn out to be a good trade because Lee went super deep too. So that was definitely a bad call and an overextension by me. I kind of just derped around with the Ivern Q. So as you can see, enemy team is Baron. The MF managed to get the Braum with her ulti. But so now we've got kind of a weird situation. And if I recall correctly, we've got some throws incoming. I think part of them are facilitated by me. Some of them aren't. Or no, I think that this one is mostly my fault. But part of the problem here is that I really I feel too tanky, and I kind of am at the point where I feel like I can 1v5 when really they have enough CC that I really can't do that. So here we are kind of sieging bot, and Lee overextends a little bit, gets caught in a fight, and just dies instantly. And that's not what I was expecting out of him, seeing as he was 6-2 for the majority of this game. And yeah, there was just, I didn't even save my ult for an appropriate time just because I was kind of, so I don't even think I was looking at the mini-map. I didn't expect for him to get deleted right there. So they've got Baron, and they're going to push with it. So that was a pretty big misplay on my part. But now we're back again, ready to defend. We lost a mid inhib, but I'm still really strong, and in the correct circumstances where I feel like I can ult comfortably, I think that we still have a really huge advantage and a really big dive deterrent. And that's kind of, for me, what another strength of Illaoi in any comp is. You know, I think a lot of people focus too much on being an offensive damage source, but you know, if I landed E onto either the Aatrox or the Braum, I think we can check the tooltip here and see how much my E does. It does 69%. Is that right? Can I do math? Yeah, that's right. It does 69% of their max HP if I hit them with an E. So, you know, having your primary tank at 30% is a pretty big, is like a huge deal. You know, that's a ton of DPS that your AD doesn't have to do to them in the future. So, you know, zoning these kind of massive tanks and having what is essentially functional armor penetration in your E, because for the most part that tooltip number 69% is going to be relatively accurate. The damage is applied as magic and physical damage back to the champion that you landed your E on, but for the most part 69% means 69%. So yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why you can get away with maybe building more AD than armor pen on Illaoi sometimes. Aatrox was kind of pushing bot until Leah burned ult to kind of rotate and catch him. And yeah, we're just going to keep pushing. I ended up selling my Phage. I think I was initially going to go Trinity here, but I realized that it just wasn't really, it was really far from optimal in this game. MF is still really strong. She's got 300 CS, 434. There we go, we land an E onto that Echo. And as you can see, he was full HP, and that's really right about 30% HP remaining. So yeah, the power of Illaoi E late game is really awesome. And that's why I really like the slot efficiency of the Manamune. If we look at it, oh yeah, it gives 75 attack damage right now with my Gauntlet finish. Here we go, we got a fight again. And the Aatrox is basically just free hammering away at me, and I just have so much armor that I really can't be touched. So I get to go back in and kind of hang around, and you know, I've still got 1300 HP in this fight. That's like basically what Jhin or MF has kind of base. So I'm really not, I don't really have any fear of dying. I can play super aggressively. But yeah, so like I said, the I'm getting 75 AD. I've got 265 total AD right now, which is nothing to scoff at for having 3,800 max HP, just really high. That's what I think the strength of Mirror Mana is. Sure, it gives you, it's kind of quote-unquote scales late game because that's the MO of the item, but also it just gives a shit ton of AD, which in a tank build is kind of augments your E in a really kind of helpful way, in that as a tank you can kind of go wherever you want and posture super offensively, and you get the value of this E that echoes for so much damage. You know, a lot of these full AD Illaoi builds do get a really good blind E on him here, beat him up pretty well, W him. and I didn't want to ult there just because I know that Baron's up, and I kind of want to live in this lane. So I didn't ult. I could have killed him, but I'd rather, you know, I know that all these people are here. I know that they're here trying to kill me, but as long as I have ulti, I get to stay here and be kind of a menace. So I'm pinging Baron here a bunch of times and kind of trying to communicate to my team that I can hold a bunch of them bot with the Elder Drake buff. So yeah, like I said, you know, if you ever watch a VOD of Malfates, which I would encourage you to, you know, just go on to replay.gg and see how people, or OPGG, and see if you can find a replay of his there. I think that's how I first found one of his. You know, just see what AD Illaoi looks like if you haven't played it before, and really the strength of it is that you can walk into any lane, and if you land an E with all of the AD that you have in your kit, the person that you hit it on just can't do anything. There's essentially, after they've been hit with an E, there's no counterplay after that. You know, they can try to run away as fast as they can, but you have so much guaranteed damage onto that champion. And when I play full AD Illaoi, whenever I get my first BF sword, I just walk my ass bot and sit in front of their tower. And the first E that I land means that someone's got a base, and I get to 3-man their tower with their bot lane. So again, like, the echo damage here is just so fat. I think I might go down here just because I missed that E because of that one creep. That was a pretty bad misplay by me. But I ult, and kind of they're just so afraid of me being so fed that they back off. I guess I don't die. And I get to live for a little bit longer. Even though I don't play it that well, I do zone out the echo by landing a good spirit on him. Go back and aggressive, kind of bait the Aatrox again. Just because, you know, I'm so tanky, and the combination of the AD from the mirror mana and the AD that I'm getting from the mana in the gauntlet just means that I'm essentially too tanky for doing this much damage late game. So this is kind of where the game gets cleaned up. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video, and like I said, give me any tips that you have. And you know, at this point, I'm really just freeballing, talking about some of the weird things about this Illaoi gameplay, and what you guys might like or not like. So if you guys have anything that you really want to hear about, any kind of desperate changes in format, oh my gosh, the Ivern Q late game is so bad. Yeah, if you guys have anything that you want me to cover in one of these games, please just let me know, and thanks for watching. Bye.